Peace, peace. Peace to the family. Yep, y'all. We out here. We in here. Let's get this thing going. We're going live on all platforms from Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Peace to the family. Peace to everybody out there in cyber world. It is 1:19 on 2019. And it's 12 noon Pacific time. Let's get it. I'm just typing all of information into all of the portals. So let's just vibe out as we collect here. You feel me? I'm gonna go ahead and let y'all vibe out to the tunes, to the sound. It's dope, right? It's heat. I got a nice little playlist going here. Let's see if we go back to some of the other heaters. Let's see if we go back to some of the other heaters. Let's see. Yeah, man. Boom. Let's see. Skip that. Let's see where we at with this one. I want to go back one more. One more. It's not letting me do it. Let me see. One more. Here we go. Boom. All right, cool. Yeah. So shout out to this free beat. Shout out to the producers, production team, DJs, all that at Union Beats. This beat was published January 24th, 2017. You can find it. It's entitled Demons. And you can hit them up at theunionbeats@gmail.com. Theunionbeats@gmail.com. So shout out to the producer and the production team on that. Shout out to everybody on IG. Thanks for tuning in. Shout out to everybody on YouTube. We're just getting this thing started. It's the gospel of hip hop. The gospel of hip hop. That's right. Hip hop's holy book. That's right. We don't just sit up every day and just listen to the hottest, dopest, most current tunes and then call that a culture and then that's it. You feel what I'm saying? It's deeper than that. And a lot of us grew up on hip hop, or first generation, second generation, third generation, fourth, and all that. Now I believe we're heading into our fourth and fifth generations of hip hop and the hip hop movement. So this thing ain't going nowhere. It's getting bigger and bigger. And we're just going to go ahead and garner the energy and the spirit of our foremothers and forefathers of our culture, which is hip hop in the art form, and go ahead and give props and give love and all of that where it's due. We're also going to go ahead and plug Hope for Hip Hop. This is a Hope for Hip Hop Presents, the gospel of hip hop, the first instrument presented by none other than the master teacher KRS-One for the Temple of Hip Hop. And I will repeat that numerous times during this segment, during this time. Again, I'm just typing in all of the information. Yeah, I'm just typing it all into all of the platforms so we're all on one accord. Because again, it's just me. Yeah, feel me? Or at least right now in this today's segment. So, yeah. That's what it is. Boom, boom. Hope for Hip Hop. HOPE number 4. HIP, capital HOP. That's what we do this for. We do it for more. More enterprises for sure. Showtime in the building, y'all. How y'all feeling, y'all? Am I grilling y'all? Am I teaching y'all? Am I reaching y'all? Am I praying for y'all? Are we staying with y'all? Are we loving y'all? Are we showing y'all our love for y'all? We do it for all of y'all. Hope for Hip Hop. We in the building. Put your hands up. Tell me how you feeling. HOPE, the number 4, capital HIP, capital HOP. That's what we do this for. That's for sure. That's what we do this for. That's for sure. Hey, 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 hey. Shout out to the DJ. Yeah, that was a bar though. That was a quick little bar. And follow the hashtag Hope the number 4 hip hop. Okay, to donate to the movement, the mission, all of that. I'm gonna go ahead and post that. Boom, boom, bang. Boom. Gotta put that everywhere. We are our own entity in terms of building this brand, building this nation, and building up everything that we're building here. So I share and give thanks for everybody who's in tune, everyone who's in and just coming. So again, shout out to the unionbeats.com, theunionbeats.com. This beat is exclusive at the unionbeats.com. It's also on YouTube, from which we are listening from. And shout out to the brother who produced it, Devin Terrell. All right, that's DEVVONTERRELL. Instrumental called Demon. That's what's up. Let's go ahead and run that back. I'm DJ Napfrocan. That's right, Napfrocan. NAPFROKAN. From the Happy Napfricans. That's right. Got a bunch of things launching this year, 2019. So again, follow the hashtag, follow the hashtag. That's Hope the number 4 hip hop. Hope the number 4 hip hop. All right, so let's get into it. Today we're gonna go ahead and finish up what we were discussing on the last segment. My intention is to go live each and every day, but of course life happens, and it's been a very emotional week for me. I've been doing some internal healing and of course through hip hop, right? But in having these sessions, it's just had to be me, myself, and God, right? And the universe and the mother, and my ancestors. So I just had to spend some time handling myself so that I could come forth with the amount of light and energy and all of that stuff to really give to others, because I really didn't have any to give. And I lived for a couple of days of shame of that, feeling ashamed of that, and not feeling like, I could really do this or that. But essentially, we must forge forward. So again, let me post the link really quick before I get started. I always post the Amazon link for the Gospel of Hip Hop so you guys can read along, right? So I gotta post that on all portals. So I'm gonna just go ahead and continue to just shed light in some places and everything for us as we forge forward. So it is important that we take deep breaths. It is important that we show and share love for one another. It is important that we are able to express in its entirety who we are, right? Who we are as individuals and who we are as a collective body of people, family, all that kind of stuff. All that kind of stuff. So let's see the gospel. And this is just, how some of us choose to live our life based on these principles, right? Like based on the actual factual facts that we find when we find them. And these principles are cohesive with any other spiritual system because it's one with nature and the universe, right? It's one with God, the universe, and nature, GUN, God, nature, universe, God, universe, nature, whatever you want to call it. So I'm going to post this link to Amazon in case you want to buy the book, in case you want to read along. And hopefully you do. Like, hopefully you do. Real talk. Let's see. And when you go to the link and you click on the book, it'll actually give you 3 chapters of the book, the first 3 chapters of the book, and you can read along. And that's what I'm going to cover here. Not all today, of course, but just in going through this as an introductory for us all, for us to get acquainted, for us to build camaraderie, for us to begin to push these things forward. I recommend you get the book, The proceeds go to KRS-One and the Temple of Hip Hop, so it's going to go back into the hands of hip hop. And we know that in our communities, a lot of times the money and the transactions don't go beyond one or two, and so this is a way to keep it 100% within the community, the culture of hip hop supporting oneself. I'm talking authentic hip hop though, and we're again gonna always address these three definitions that we discuss every single time. And I'm going to do that so that we're operating with the same definitions and meanings and semantics. I mean, it's so that we don't get caught up in semantics, right? So we're going to go ahead and get into it. Again, this is DJ Napfro Can. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and read from the Gospel of Hip Hop, the first instrument presented by the one and only Master Teacher KRS-One for the Temple of Hip Hop. And the hardbound book, if you have it, some of you I'm sure have ordered it by now since we've been doing this live thing for a couple weeks, or may have already had it in your archives. But what we will do is we will continue and we will forge forward. Let me bring this beat back again, right? Yay. All right, so we're on page 18, and I think where I'm going to start is, I'm going to start at the bottom of page 17 so that we can just come in the context of what it's talking about a little bit more than just kind of starting. So we're going to start at the bottom of page 17. It's the first chapter. First chapter is called A New Covenant. So we're going to start page 17 in A New Covenant, verse 58. So at this point, this is where we begin our healing process. We will sit upright wherever you at. You in the car, just begin to focus on your breath and just breathe. We're going to breathe in good things and exhale the things we do not need. If you have some water, something with a libation, you want to go ahead and take and receive some libation. Because as you say this word, this prayer, this deed, whatever the intention is, you're going to speak it into your libation. You're going to speak it into your water, because water, we're 70% water as humans, as people. So follow me here. Just understand. Make sure you breathe and make sure we're taking this libation. If you feel like, I want to pour it out for my ancestors, feel free to do so. You're going to pour out the libation. Still speak the word, still do the whole thing. You're going to pour out the libation into a living thing and being. So a plant, some live food, something like that. The grass, the tree, any of those things. And where we live, sometimes a lot of trees ain't watered, bushes, all that stuff's not watered. So this is the perfect time to pour the libation and in memory of your ancestors, whether that be through hip hop or through your culture or through your own, ethnicity or whatever like that. You can go ahead and adopt that and exercise that. So at this time, let's do that together. Let's go ahead and breathe in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Let's do that for a few more times on your own accord. Go ahead. And remember, when you breathe in, you're inhaling the things that you want, the things that you wish to receive, the things that you hope for, the things that you pray for. And when you exhale, you're going to exhale all the things you no longer need, the things that no longer serve you. You're going to get rid of those. So go ahead. Let's do it. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. You're doing it on your own accord, but we're doing it together. But, we're not with each other physically right now. So we're just going to do it in unison together from the time that you watch the video to the time that you participate to the time that you are here live. And again, thank you all for being here. So for those of us who are here, thank you for being here. Ashe. So now let's speak that word into that water, that blessing, that which you wish to receive and all that good stuff. Go ahead and inhale, exhale. And drink that water, pour out that libation, and say Ashe, and give thanks. trying to shut me down, y'all. They're trying to shut me down, y'all. That's what I'm dealing with right now. That's why I'm kind of delayed a little bit, but I'm still trying to remain in the spirit of things and all of that. So, you feel me? Let's just stay focused, stay tuned. We're going to get through this thing. It's interesting how our people continue to get banned and continue to get, all of these things. And a lot of these groups and things aren't even open. So, but yeah, I feel it. Live video stops here. Yeah, they just go ahead and ban me, stop me, the whole 9 yards, yo. Like, what's going on, man? That's crazy. Let's go ahead and go back, man. Let's go back. We still here. We still in this thing. We still in this thing, and we're gonna still be in this thing. You feel me? So they stopped me here. They stopped me on my IG. I mean, what can I say? What can I say? I'm gonna go back. Yep. We back in there, y'all. We back in there. Oh, they like shut me down. They're not gonna let me go live at all no more. So, man, that's crazy. How they still control stuff, man. You feel me? Like, we need our own portals. We need our own things so that we can chime in and have these discussions and not be like, oh, you playing the instrumental in the background. You can't play that. And the beat says free. And I shouted out the DJ. I shouted out the producer. I shouted out where you can find the beat. I'm not using anything that I'm not already authorized to use. It's free on YouTube. Like, it's free on the beat. UnionBeats.com. I'm playing it from the website. It's free to use. What's going on? It's crazy to me. But anyway, excuse me. Pardon me. So anyway, let's go ahead and get into it. As we poured out our libations and did our whole thing, they're not gonna throw us off. They're not gonna get us. You know what I'm saying? They're not gonna do it. We're not gonna allow that to happen. Okay? We're not gonna allow that to happen. Boom. So I need to switch these two real quick. Okay, and then we're good to go. So let's try another portal then. Hold on 1 second, then I'll let me go live on IG. So let me try one more different one. Go live here, and then I'll just upload onto the podcast as well. Like, all right, peace to the family. We're going to go ahead and get into it. This is Hope for Hip Hop. It's a healing session. It's a learning session. It's an educational edutainment session. Edutainment. Education and entertainment. This is the sugar and the medicine family. So we got to get into this. This is Hope for Hip Hop healing sessions. Support us with the hashtag Hope, the number 4 hip hop. The hashtag Hope, the number 4 hip hop. We're going to read from the Gospel of Hip Hop, the first instrument penned and authored by none other than the original KRS-One for the Temple of Hip Hop, the master teacher, and the man who has single-handedly has the most bars of hip hop written ever, and freestyle, I believe, by the way. You can look that stat up yourself. So, we're going to get into it because we already been kind of delayed and the whole thing. We got shut down on one entity already, so we already uploading onto another one. If you're following along, please follow along. Ashe, and we give thanks. So, I'm DJ Nat Procan of the Hope for Hip Hop Project, Educational Entertainment Project, and a bunch of other projects, but we're reading from page 17, the bottom of page 17, verse 58, the first chapter of the Gospel of Hip Hop. Again, that's the Gospel of Hip Hop. And let's go for it. So, let me get some water. My bad. I'm about to do a lot of reading. Try to do this with some dope beats so that we stay entertained and entertained. And our spirit is guided in the spirit of pure, unadulterated love for hip hop, straight up. Like, all right, so bottom of page 17, verse 58. It was this voice that taught me how to teach. It was this voice that first called me KRS-One. I've repeated it ever since. Obedience to this voice is indeed the source of my intellectual strength and artistic longevity. All praise, glory, and worship be to God, the love that has lifted us up. This is exactly why this gospel is before you. It is because the same still small voice that has guided KRS thus far is guiding you now. This is real. And if you are indeed hip hop, you must learn that there is a divine blessing and grace upon your life that you cannot afford to continue ignoring. And this is what the gospel of hip hop is all about. This training is all about getting you to recognize your spiritual reality and begin living your life outside of fear and worry caused by excessive material want. This gospel acknowledges hip hop as an idea of divine mind and reunites the hip hopper with the existence, right? Where's the hip? Shoot. Unites the hip hopper. Where did that go, man? With the existence of such a mind. This is how it became KRS-One. Others may have entered the rap music industry in other ways, or may have been hooked up by this one or that one. But as for KRS-One, it was, and still is, the mystical life and its real effects that got me started as an MC, rapper, and this awareness is what I teach to all serious apprentices. So understand, he is passing down and giving us some tools here, some information on what this hip hop thing is all about, right? So he penned it, he experienced it, penned his experience, penned this gospel, this good news, because we always hearing bad news, right, about hip hop, some kind of way, right? And so he's saying, you know what, for the real ones, this is what you want right here. You want this work. Okay, we're gonna start reading verse 60. Chapter 1, book 1, A New Covenant, verse 60, page 18 at the bottom if you're at the hardback book. If you're online, please follow the link that I posted to the Amazon link. It's going to bring you to the book. If you want to buy it, you can order it. If you want to read along, go ahead and click on the book itself, and it's giving you the first 3 chapters, and this chapter is included. So you still get it free no matter what. Okay? So verse 60. For I am not who I am today just because I can rap. Study KRS's history closely. If my life is not a living example of what I teach, then you have no reason to believe anything that I'm saying here. But if my life is evidence of my claims, then why deny your own blessing and the gospel that speaks directly to you for your salvation? I am who I am so that you may clearly see who you are. But the question we are dealing with here is, how do we know if it was God that rescued us? The quick answer is because I told you so. And if you join with me in faith, you too can become heir to this new covenant. But a longer answer explores what others have experienced in history regarding the saving grace of the one God. One thing we know for sure is that when God raises up a people, it has historically, been the most downtrodden, impoverished, powerless group of people that God chooses to restore and raise up. And part of the reason for this historically has been that God chooses the most powerless people to raise up, the most ignorant to educate, the most unorganized to order, so that they and the world may know once again that God is God. And nothing in the world is above the power of God. If you're just tuning in here, we are reading from the Gospel of Hip Hop, the first instrument, penned by KRS-One for the Temple of Hip Hop. We are at page 19. That's page 19. That's 19, page 19. And we got some fiery beats in the background. You feel me?
There's no such thing as a perfect rap.
Yeah, feel me. Let's go ahead, and I'm still playing DJ as well, so we're gonna go ahead and go to another one of these beautiful, lovely tracks that we have in store here from the DJs and from the beat makers, production teams, and all that good stuff. So this track is called Unruly by Lytton Scott, published by Lytton Scott, March 20th, 2018. Hit them up. It's on YouTube. Check it out. All right. So, verse 63. And nothing in the world is above the power of God. It doesn't matter what the world is doing or what the world has. When God decides to move, no force on or in the earth can stop such a movement. Historically, over the past 36 years, hip hop has been such a movement in the United States. And now this people who were once destroyed have found favor with God. And as he has always favored the enslaved, the oppressed, the downtrodden, and he has always favored us, not just with a prophet, but with his presence. Then out of us, choose one to lead, teach, and guide us to the path of his divine favor. And with that presence, he's offering to us the scepter of rulership. That which was not becomes that which is. And that which was the bottom rail, he will bring it to the top. And that which was lost, he will make it first. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. Quotation from Minister Louis Farrakhan, 2007. Verse 64. The strength and power that hip hop has did not come from us. We received it, yet it was already within us when we received it. This is God. In addition, it is clear that hip hop operates within a certain moral immunity. There is clearly a grace over us, and we must ask, for what reason are we being excused like this? For what reason do we have this grace? And for how long? Know this: grace is a kind of mercy. It implies that you are undeserving of the mercy you are receiving. That for the activity of your selfishness, inconsiderate needs, SIN, you should have been dead, injured, or imprisoned. But God's grace comes and rescues you from the judgment that you truly deserve. Some people realize the grace of God over their lives, and they humble themselves in thanksgiving and praise for the love they didn't deserve. Others walk blindly. Now, when you realize that in God's eye, all of us are basically animals grunting and groaning before God, and that our attempts at righteousness can never match God's, you realize that you are under God's grace, that you are being protected from your own ignorance and excused of your own immaturity right now. Others are being killed, ignorant, and or incarcerated for what you are doing every day. But when you get truthful with yourself, and you look at the amount of illegal, unhealthy, and stupid things you are doing and saying, yet you are never really caught by the system. You are never really sick, and danger always seems to escape you. You realize that it is God's grace that is protecting you, not your intellect, not your knowledge, not your reputation, not your respect, not your money, not even your faith has protected you from the effects of your own immaturity. It was God. And I'm going to pause right there and say, Ashe, 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 right? And when you think about it, we have so many passes. We get so, many just things that, we're under the shield of grace, basically. There's so many things that should be harming us that's not. That's holding us down or holding us back, but not really, right? maybe in an amount of time, but not in actuality. Like it won't be long, right? This is a free track. It's a Drake type beat. It's called Hunter, published by LCS December 19th, 2018. It's on YouTube, so hit them up if you like this track. Alright. Now we're gonna start on page, where are we? Alright, we're on verse 67. Right? We just finished verse 67, so now we're going to verse 68, page 20 at the bottom. Click the link if you don't have the book. We're on the first chapter called A New Covenant, the first book, the Gospel of Hip-Hop. That's what we're reading from. If you're just tuning in, we're reading from the Gospel of Hip-Hop, the first instrument, penned by none other than KRS-One for the Temple of Hip-Hop. We're reading on page 20 at the bottom, page 20, 20 pages in. Okay, let's go. Verse 68. You know what? I'm going to take this time to take a libation since we're coming off a little short break. Right, because we're reading, we're speaking, and we're speaking these things into existence. Let's go. When you realize this for real, you also realize that something bigger than you, something stronger than you, something smarter, faster, and calmer than you is trying to communicate with you. When you actually recognize the grace on your life, you seek not more of the grace, but more of the grace giver. If you actually care, you will want to know why such a gift is being given to you. The first obvious reason is love. God cares about us. The second obvious reason is understanding. God understands us more than we understand ourselves. We belong to God. And finally, there's a plan, a purpose, a work that needs to be done. The blessing in all of this is that for some reason, God believes we can get the work done. Or in this case, God seems to believe that hip-hop can get the work done. Or in this case, God seems to believe that hip-hop can get the work done. Verse 70, page 21. Okay. Wow, that's deep, right? God believes that we're the ones to get it done. And that's pretty deep. That's pretty dope too, actually. Like when you think about it. Okay. Continue. LCS published this August 8th, 2018. Travis Scott type beat is free. Drake type beat is called Poles. Poles. See if we like it. I gotta feel the vibe because you know it's a vibe right here. Let's see. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. All right, cool. So shout out to the DJ Nat Pro Can. That's me. Shout out to the production team LCS for producing this beat that we're using. That's free on YouTube. All right. Shout out. DJ Nat Pro Can. I'm DJ Nat Pro Can. Okay. Page 21, verse 70. Now when you look at this closely, you see that God's grace is also God's faith in the belief that we, hip-hop, are worthy of grace, that we will get the work done. But when God gives a people grace, it is because of the work they've been called to do. It is because of the purpose that will be fulfilled. We are being excused of our wickedness and immaturity right now because we are obviously victorious in our future. God can see that, and we are encouraged to see that also. But such grace is not a free pass for continued ignorance. Don't get it twisted. If you are not fulfilling the vision God has placed on your life, suddenly and without warning, your grace can disappear. Grace is only provided for you to catch up to the vision God has for you. If you are not perfecting yourself and moving toward the vision God has shown you, grace will not save you from your own stagnation and ungratefulness. God's vision for hip-hop is also God's promise to hip-hop. But God's people are called long before they even know that they have been called. This is where grace comes in. Grace gives you a chance to catch up to God's already in progress planning vision. Know this: God calls us things before we actually become them. God's vision for us is not a far-off dream. It is an actual promise as to what God has in store for us. However, if you don't rise to the promise, you don't get it. It is not that the promise will not happen. It is more that you just won't be a part of it. That part. The hip-hop spiritual life acknowledges God's already in progress grace and inspires the hip-hopper to walk worthy of that already received grace. The hip-hop spiritual life acknowledges these standards and practices and principles of the grace giver. We respect the promise and the promiser, for it is our respect for the promiser that motivates us to rise to the level of the promise. Yep, that's right. That is right. Y'all feel that? Keep your comments coming. Keep your the energy up. Like keep the conversation going. This is for the culture, right? All right, this beat is called Vacation by Panacho, published on November 24th, 2018 on YouTube. Hit him up on gmail.com, panachobeats@gmail.com. All right, let's go. Panacho, that's dope. All right. The hip-hop spiritual life, we're going to go back to page 21, verse 74. The hip-hop spiritual life acknowledges God's already in progress grace and inspires the hip-hopper to walk worthy of that already received grace. The hip-hop spiritual life acknowledges the standards and practices and principles of the grace giver. We respect the promise and the promiser, for it is our respect for the promiser that motivates us to rise to the level of the promise. Just imagine, if someone promised you something, you would have to respect the promiser in order to receive the promise. You have to believe that the one promising is actually capable of delivering such a promise. If you don't believe or respect the promiser, even if the promiser can deliver the promise, you will never achieve it simply because you don't respect nor believe the promiser. We going deep, y'all. We getting deep. We getting deep with this. We getting deep, y'all. We getting deep, right? We getting deep. So, okay, so now we're gonna go into the promises joint. Well, let's see something. Hold on. I'm sorry, I gotta pause real quick. You know I'm on like 4 different platforms. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. Hey, okay. So, yeah. Sorry, I gotta take a pause real quick. Vibe out. Have a libation. Breathe. All right, I'm back. I'm back. I shake. So let's continue. Let's continue. Hold on, I'm typing hip-hop. Typing hip-hop. I would love some help if y'all want to help out, like somebody want to be a moderator to join or want to do a session or, lead a discussion or all of that. I'm open, looking for volunteers, looking for more collaborations with more brands, more hip hoppers, more lovers of hip hop that want to push the culture forward and ahead. So that's for sure. Mm-hmm. These beats is dope, huh? They won't ban us off the more platforms. Hey. Alright. So we're back on page 22. We're on page 22. And we're on verse 76. Verse 76, page 22. DJ Naprocan, if you're just tuning in, this is the Gospel of Hip Hop, penned by KRS-One for the Temple of Hip Hop. If you are just tuning in, give thanks. Thank you for tuning in. We're on all platforms right now, currently, give thanks. And this track is dope. It's called Harden. It's dope. It's a Meek Mill type beat. It's also free on YouTube, produced by Timeline. So give thanks for this free track for the production team there at Timeline, published on May 24, 2018. Found it on YouTube. Use it for your bars. I use these tracks as transitionary as they are, as transformative as they are, as music. So music is helping our muse, right? It leads our muse, it overturns our thinking. That's what a muse is. It's to overturn our thinking. And so I use these tracks as a form of healing, and even just knowing and being connected to the affordability of it. So I want to give you guys free beats so you know where to find them. Go, oh, that's hard. And really be able to express in a cultural, audio ethnography of your own to lead into your own healing. And we're gonna get into more and more of that. So this is Healing Through Hip Hop with the Hope for Hip Hop project, edutainment, entertainment, and we're reading from the Gospel of Hip Hop, written by KRS-One for the Temple of Hip Hop. We're on the bottom of page 22. Well, not the bottom, but in the middle. We're on verse 76, first chapter, entitled The New Covenant. All right, let's go. So, verse 76. A promise is like a two-way street. Both the giver and the receiver have to cooperate for a promise to be fulfilled. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I have to post a link to the book. In case you guys want to get the book, buy the book. Don't be afraid. You can do that. If you don't have the book and you want to read along, please click the link and make sure that you click on the book. It gives you the first 3 chapters for free on Audible, as well as you can read it on your smartphone or whatever device you're using right now, currently and presently. So we are, shout out to brother, I see you, brother Kurt. Peace and blessings to you, family. So again, click the link. You'll see the book, the Amazon link. You can order it, but don't do that right now. Just click on the book so you can read along on page 22, first chapter of the book called A New Covenant, and with the Gospel of Hip Hop in verse 76. A promise is like a two-way street. Both the giver and the receiver have to cooperate for a promise to be fulfilled, especially a promise that is like a gift received. If you don't join in on the faith of the promiser, it is you who walks away from your own gift. In this case, the promiser is God, and hip hop is the receiver of the promise and gift. Verse 77. All those who join in on this faith join in on a new covenant complete with health, love, awareness, and wealth. A covenant that provides peace and prosperity to all who claim hip-hop as their culture and lifestyle. This is real. 78. God has already made us a holy nation. The challenge for us now is to rise to the character of God's vision of us before this season of grace runs out. And the key word here is vision. Vision gives us direction, purpose, and restraint. When you have a vision to achieve and you are seriously committed to it, the world's temptations don't affect you. When you have a vision to achieve, you are achieving it. You are in harmony with not only God's vision, you are in harmony with God's law. In such a condition, grace is unnecessary. It is the living law of God that protects and guides you now. Grace is always needed in some form or another. But at this level of awareness, you are no longer unaware or immature or ignorant. So grace is not really necessary for you. Grace is for those who unknowingly break spiritual laws because of immaturity or ignorance. However, when the hip hopper atones for past ignorance and attunes herself to the vision God has promised her nation, the hip hopper becomes God's vision and thus God's law, fulfilling the promise and thus saving herself and her whole world from destruction. This is the good news for hip hop. This is the gospel. The gospel of hip hop comes to hip hop at this time because our grace period is running out again. This word keeps God's judgment at bay and gives us time to catch up to God's vision for hip hop. This is not about possessions. This is about position. This is about getting into position to receive the promise of God. Therefore, the time has come to make a final decision regarding how deeply involved you shall explore your hip-hop reality. Is hip-hop still just a side thing to you? Or is it really your birthright and heritage? There it is. And that's the end of page 23. That's the end of the first book, the first chapter, A New Covenant. If you're just now tuning in, we're reading from the Gospel of Hip Hop, the first instrument penned by none other than the master teacher KRS-One for the Temple of Hip Hop. If you don't have the book, you can go ahead and click the link that you see in the comments and or description box and order the book or read along with us. I just finished chapter 1, A New Covenant. I'm going to start in chapter 2, the love, the next time we get going, which will more than likely be tomorrow, but if not tomorrow, then the next day, because I'll be traveling and it'll be hard to go live and stuff like that, as I'm just doing these different traveling experiences and showing up. But nonetheless, I always want to go ahead and define the hip hop that we are operating under, the definition that we are operating under specifically, and especially for this podcast and live healing session, but also just in general, so that we know and everybody know who is a fan of hip hop, a supporter, or what have you, will know what hip hop they're supporting or what level, what definition they're operating under. Okay. Some people call it commercial, some people call it underground. It's all these different things. But let's go ahead and if you're with us, you're gonna go to page 63. Page 63. Okay, that is in the chapter called The First Overstanding, Real Hip Hop. The First Overstanding, that's page 63. And that will be chapter what is that, like 4? Let's see. That's chapter 4. And verse 26. Verse 26. Now this is hip hop, and hip hop is capital HIP, capital HOP versus capital HIP, HOP, lowercase HOP, and then lowercase HIP, lowercase HOP. All right. So the first definition we're going to read from verse 25. Okay. Wait, no, we're going to read from verse 24. I'm sorry. Page 62, verse 24. in a book called The First Overstanding. Now remember, this is also involving healing, so we want to make sure that we're breathing. So let's take this breath right here. Breathe in and exhale. We're going to breathe in what we need, exhale what we don't. Go ahead on your own accord. Take a few good deep breaths. Okay? And if you have a libation, you want to speak a word, an intention into it before you take a sip or pour it out into a living thing or organism for your ancestors or for those of you holding space with in the ethers or in spirit. So we can shout out some names. We can shout out Brother Tupac. We can say Ashe to my mom. Ashe, we want to say and give thanks to Dr. Maya Angelou. We want to give thanks and say Ashe to that spirit. We want to give thanks and say Ashe to JMJ, DJ, right? Jam Master J, Ashe, give thanks. Shout the names out. It's all good. Your homies, your family, your grandmother. Shout out to my grandma, grandfathers, my grandparents who crossed over. Ashe, give thanks. One love. Yep. All that. So, okay. We're going to proceed and continue. So we're defining the word hip hop as it is spelled, capital H-I-P, lowercase H-O-P. Like it's right, all one word. Phonetically, it looks like hi-fi, right? Grammatically and phonetically, it looks like it spells hi-fi. Hip hop is the name of our creative force in the world. It is our lifestyle and collective consciousness. That's what that definition is. So lifestyle, collective consciousness. I can't drill this in our home enough. Hip hop is the name of our creative force in the world. That's capital H-I-P, lowercase H-O-P. It is our lifestyle and our collective consciousness. Verse 27. Capital H-I-P, capital H-O-P. That's hip hop, 2 words. It is the name of our culture and artistic elements. The name of our culture and the artistic elements that come along with that culture. Let's understand and be clear. Okay, verse 28. Verse 28. Lowercase H-I-P, lowercase H-O-P, or lowercase H-I-P dash lowercase H-O-P. Right? That is the rap music product and its mainstream activities. Let's be clear. That is rap music is the product and its mainstream activities. What are the mainstream activities of hip hop? Let's name some. Make no mistake, they all push essentially somewhat, somehow, right? They all push the culture forward. They all make it recognizable. They all speak to it in some degrees, but what is it saying? Okay, mainstream may not necessarily even be the culture. That's also a twist, right? So the cultural people make these things, but we also know that culture can be watered down. It can be appropriated, right? And not necessarily appreciated. So sometimes it's culture vulture and cultural appropriation, misappropriation even, right? So that's what that is. So we want to understand what that is. The mainstream activities that some people can name it the reality shows. I don't have to name the names. You know what they are. Some people name it some certain artists, certain songs, certain videos, right? Certain types of hip hop. Right? We want to differentiate all of that. Sometimes people say, oh, this is not hip hop. This is that. Right? So we got that going. But understand the mainstream is the main money, the overground, the super commercial, all of that is backed by a powerhouse team and money, right? A whole backing, a lot of that stuff. And sometimes not. Sometimes it's the individual who just made it on their own, right? And that's all good. We want to give props to all of that. But we want to understand what we're listening to and what we are discussing and what we are admiring as artists and as lovers of that art. Ashe. Hey. So this concludes that. The segment for the day. I give thanks for you being here, being tuned. I gotta check out how we got kicked off on one platform, but we're on all the others. We're still looking good. If you haven't already, please join us on Facebook. The Truth Media Global portal is growing. Join the Truth Media Global business group entitled Blacks Own Black Business. Blacks with an S own, OWN, Black Business. Blacks own Black business, right? Because we do. We own Black businesses. And for hip-hopers own hip-hop business, right? So we're just growing our online portals. Get ready for this school. Please send a donation to the hashtag Hope for Hip Hop, Hope the number 4 Hip Hop. I give thanks for you listening, and much love. We can vibe out to the rest of this. Again, shout out to the DJ Napro Can, that's me. Shout out to DJ, and then shout out to the production team who put this beat together called Harden, as in HARDEN. It's a picture of the Houston Rockets. It's dope too. So check them out. That's a timeline posted that on YouTube to be called Harden. It's a Meek Mill type beat. You can look that up. It's the instrumental. Published May 24, 2018. Got 500,000 streams, so you can find that. Use it for your own self-healing. Starting out, this is a freestyle, and go wild in your mind, on your grind. You can do it all the time. Do it in your rhyme. You can heal the sublime. You can heal the subliminal, sublime. That's how you do it all the time. That's how you feel it. You live it how you do it. Do it how you live it. Live it how you see it. See it and you be it. See it, you can be it. A, B, C, D, F, and you can be a G in it. Be the G-O-D like a D-O-G in it. I'm just spitting, yo.